Okay, now just calm down because yes, I want to talk about stress, but not in a stressful way. And I think there's a massive misunderstanding about stress and what stress is and how we kind of identify it. So I guess I've got an opinion or two on this because A, yes, I suffer from stress, and B, yes, I have got some very good methods to get out of it. And C, I talk to my clients about it a lot, and there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of kind of like weird interpretations of this thing called stress. So that's what I figured. All right, let's talk about it. Let's have a chat about it and see what you think, and see what if you've got any ideas about it too. So that is what today is all about. Hi, I am Kylie Ansett. I'm the Alignment Whisperer. I support you in getting tuned in and in touch with your inner wisdom, the inner power that each of us has. So getting in alignment with that is what I'm all about, so that we can live a life that has more purpose rather than just living a life that's kind of like going through the motions and just having a life of kind of stress, if nothing else. Being in alignment is what I'm all about, so that you can live with purpose. So I'm coming to you from beautiful Sydney, Australia, and this is your daily dose of alignment. Okay, so stress. Let's talk about stress. Do you want to talk about stress? I don't know. Tell me if you do. Tell me if you want to talk about stress, because I don't want to talk about it, but I feel I need to talk about it. And I guess there's a bit of a difference there, right? So I need to talk about stress. I need to talk about it because I'm going to admit right here and now that I am someone who gets stressed over nothing for almost no reason. And not only that, I'm not a stressful person. I think everyone says that, but I'm not a highly strung, kind of anxious person. Anyone who met me and sort of would know me, anyone except my son, maybe he probably sees the worst of me, would say I'm very easygoing. But that doesn't mean that what's going on in here, that what's going on in there does not involve a lot of what I call low-grade chronic stress. Now, this is where the misunderstanding goes, because I think when people hear the word stress and the doctor says, oh, maybe you're stressed, or all this kind of thing, they think that it's from the outside in. That's how their interpretation is, that the stress is coming from the outside. Many a time I have been treated a client who I can tell that they are so stressed, they're like an elastic band that's stretched to the point of it's gonna snap in a second, and they will tell me point blank to my face that they're not stressed, and they said the reason they say that is because, oh, but my life's good, like I've got nothing, there's like the marriage is good, the kids are doing well, we're doing okay financially, and so from their perspective, there should be no stress. But let me tell you, stress does not come from the outside in, it comes from the inside out. You could be you could be living on an island and like just living off coconuts and lying on a hammock all day and still feel stressed. You could. Now, of course, usually if we are going on our island holidays, we leave behind our stresses, what we see as causing stress. But you could be stressed on holiday, and I'm sure you have been. Oh, we're going to miss the plane. Oh, I haven't got the right size swimming costume. Oh, like I left my towel down at the beach. Oh, I really don't like that food. They haven't got gluten-free at that restaurant. That can be the internal stuff that's going on while you're on the island holiday. And for sure, it can be going on and does go on in our everyday non-island holiday, non-island life. it is just, it's an internal feeling where you're out of alignment. I'm going to say it. It's my favorite word. It's what it's all about for me. You're just out of alignment. You're just not in sync with yourself, with your inner wisdom. You're to the side. You've stepped to the side of it, and you're kind of missing. You're not in flow. You're missing opportunities, and you're feeling like this inside. Okay, there's like a inside, and it's not full blown, like, I'm going to have a panic attack type stress. And it's not, the bank's going to repossess the house type stress, or I've been diagnosed with, a terminal illness type stress. No, none of that. It's just like, I'm running late to pick up the kids stress, or we need to get milk and I haven't got the time to drop in and get it stress, or we're going to be spending the weekend with people I don't particularly like stress. Like it's actually not the external. It's not the external. Like I said, you could be lying on a hammock and you could still be feeling stress. It's what I call this chronic low-grade stress, and it's addictive. Now, this is the thing. It is completely addictive. That's what I think people don't get. They think they should be desiring to have a life that is stress-free, right? That would make sense, to not have stress in our lives. That's what supposedly the goal is. And we know stress is bad for our health and da-da-da. So, we want to be stress-free. But the thing is that the feeling of stress, the physiological, chemical stuff that goes on internally when we're stressed is addictive. Think about that. Like caffeine. Very similar to caffeine. In fact, caffeine and stress are like, they're cousins. They're close by each other in what physiologically, hormonally, chemically is going on in the body. They're very, very close. So you can see how that feeling of kind of being just slightly not hyper, but just slightly just like anxious is way too strong a word, but just slightly just a little bit like that. It starts to become the new normal. It feels normal. It feels like this is life. This is how my life is always like this. And when you don't feel like that, you feel like there's something wrong. So you then instigate little stories in your head. Now, let me tell you this little story. I was doing it 10 minutes ago, and it's why I wanted to come on to right now and do this live stream, because I was walking through the shopping center. I had to do a little bit of shopping, and something that had happened to me earlier in the day, which wasn't a big deal, but I was ruminating on it, like I was chewing it over. And instead of being in the moment of being in the shopping center, which is not like a beautiful environment, but so what? It's the environment I was in for 10 minutes while I went and got a couple of things. Instead of that, I was going over this in my head as I was walking with purpose, as I tend to. And I suddenly caught myself doing this. I caught myself in that, okay, I was not living in the present moment. I was ruminating over something that wasn't making me feel good. It wasn't making me feel bad, like hugely bad. It was just a bit it was just making me feel a bit off. And I thought, what am I doing? Like right now I have the choice of like just being here in this kind of whatever environment, like, okay, it's not a beautiful place, but nonetheless, I can be here, or I can be thinking about this thing that doesn't make me feel good, and it's not making any difference. Like, I'm not changing the outcome. It's not like I was finding a solution. And if you've heard me speak before, you'll know I'll say the solution never comes from thinking about the problem anyway. But that's not even what I was doing. I was just going over it in that kind of habitual, mindless way that we have, right? This is what I was doing. Now, can you relate to this? Is this something that you spend any moment of your brain time doing? That is what I call chronic low-grade stress. Now, it doesn't feel good, but it's addictive because it gives you the same way that caffeine, a cup of coffee, gives you a little jump start, a little. Oh, it's funny. I used to go out with this guy who had. He was like a workaholic, and he had a slight disability where his legs were uneven in length. Anyway, the point is that he was a workaholic, and often he would work for, I don't know, like 36, 48 hours, crazy amounts of time with no sleep. And so what he would do is, to keep himself awake, he would like almost let himself fall over, and that little would give him such a jolt of adrenaline, like, whoa, you nearly fell over, and he'd right himself, and that jolt of adrenaline would keep him going. Okay, now that is taking things to the extreme of everything. Yes, I'm not dating this guy anymore, but I was always interested in that way of using our adrenaline system. We do it with caffeine all the time. We have a coffee and it gives us a little whoom. I don't have a coffee, I have a hot chocolate, because I don't know, I don't drink coffee, but I'll have my hot chocolate, and the green smoothie doesn't give me the same jolt, even though it's clearly got a lot of sugar in it. It's the caffeine. Now, stress does the same thing. It's not the same sharpening of the senses that say caffeine would, but it's like a heart start. It's a bit like the falling over of my friend, or the almost falling over. It's a little heart start. It's a little like, I'm still alive because I'm feeling this scratchy, not very pleasant feeling. So I'm still alive, kind of thing. Now, we're not consciously thinking this, but it becomes so habitual. It's normal. And when we don't feel it, unless we've taken ourselves off to, Maui or something, we think, what's wrong? Whoa, what's wrong? I should be. And so then we'll invent something. I kid you not, I do this, so I know other people are doing it. I know. We'll invent something to feel anxious or just slightly stressed about, and it will be nothing, like the government, blah, 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 the weather, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the thing. Like everything, like all of the mindset work, awareness is the first step. You need to be aware that you're doing it. And when I caught myself, when I was just down the road 5 minutes ago, half an hour ago, whatever, when I caught myself, I was like, this is a very normal place for my brain to be. And I'm not a very stressful type of person. I'm pretty laid back, but that's still very normal for me. And I know from speaking with my clients and friends and family that most people are walking around with at least that level of low-grade chronic stress, and usually far, far more, in that it's more frequent, I guess. So, first of all, awareness. Catch yourself doing it. Catch yourself in a situation. Now, I'm not talking about when you're in the middle of having a huge fight, or your your boss has just fired you, or like not when you're actually in a stressful situation, but just when you're in a kind of normal day-to-day situation, the kind of thing that is not overtly stressful. And yet, if you catch yourself, am I feeling this kind of clenching inside? If you catch yourself feeling that, then that's what I'm talking about. So being aware of it, and then recognizing, you don't have to do it. Look, here's another example. When I massage some people who are holding tension and they're not aware of it, and it feels so normal to have that tension, that when I release the tension through using trigger points and whatever techniques, that feels abnormal. So it's the same kind of thing. Holding that tension 24/7 month after month, year after year, sometimes decade after decade. And I swear to you, I see people like this as a body worker who have held that level of tension in their body for most of their adult life. And we can release it and do release it and like that's all good, but it's the normal. That feels normal to them, and that's what I'm getting with this low-grade stress. It feels normal because we're so habituated to it. So that's kind of my little aha today, and I hope it's been a bit of an aha for you, and you've taken a few little ideas from it. Now, I'm going to be in my group, Align. We are going to be doing I don't want to call it a challenge. It's just like an intensive everyday training starting next week. And it's going to be working with transforming pain into pleasure. That sounds good. That's better than what I wrote about it now. Anyway, it's about working with pain, emotional, physical, mental pain. And what I just spoke about then, that's mental pain. Even the low grade stuff, it's still mental pain. Mental pain does not have to be like psychiatric in a straitjacket. That's the extreme end. The other end of it is something that we're all walking around with certain levels of mental pain. So what I'm going to be doing is some really specific hands-on actionable techniques. You're going to love them. You're going to love them. You can take them to the bank. You can. You could walk into the bank and do these techniques and you would feel fantastic. But you can also do them just in your own home. You don't have to go to the bank. Don't worry, I'm just being silly. That was a joke that probably I'm the only one that got. Don't worry. Anyway, if you're interested in that, it starts next week and it's free. It's in my group. It's a way of me getting a little bit of interest in the group. I've got a tiny little group, which I love. And I would like to share that space with more people, and you are that more people. So come on down. If you're not already part of the group, come on down. And if you are already part of the group, we'll look out for the training starting next week. It'll be an intensive daily trainings with specific things for working with mental, emotional, and physical pain. Now, I have used these techniques myself. I've used them on clients and had incredible results. Incredible. So, there is an alternative to pharmaceuticals, believe it or not. Don't tell Kaiser. Don't tell Roche. Don't tell them. We have the answer. We can decimate their industry overnight. We could. If enough of us started doing this, we could. Now, wouldn't that be, oh my God, wouldn't that be something? Put the pharmaceutical industry out of business. And since I've gotten myself into this mood, I was having this thought the other day, because those of you who know me may know that I'm an anarchist, and that just means, it doesn't mean I'm going around like throwing chairs through shop windows and setting fire to police cars. It just means I don't believe in the government. I don't believe we need a government. And I'm not even going to get into the whole ins and outs. But it was funny. I was seeing an interview with Jim Carrey, who I love because he's just existing on a different plane, and on a plane that I wouldn't mind existing on too. But I was so sad to hear him talking about the government as though they meant anything. And what it made me think is, if we just ignored them, like, just imagine this. Imagine if we the people, imagine if we completely ignored them. Now, that doesn't mean that they still don't have, power, whatever. But if we completely ignored them, they actually wouldn't have any power. And it wouldn't matter if they were left or right or blue or green or purple or pink with green spots. None of that would even matter, because if we just ignored them and got on with our lives, they would be... We give them power every time we talk about them, good or bad. We give them power. Just, it's like when you've got a child who's throwing a tantrum. Don't pay attention to that, because you're just telling them, do more of it, do more, because that's how you get my attention. That's how I see the government. Don't encourage them. Don't talk about them. Don't let their names pass your lip. Be like Voldemort with Harry Potter. Be like that. Don't let their names pass your lips because like it's a spell. You're giving them power. No, they have no power over you. They don't. Anyway, I really got sidetracked there, but I'd been thinking about that and I just felt this was an opportune time to share it since I got on my medical, pharmaceutical high horse. Anyway, have an awesome day or evening wherever you are, and I will speak to you next time. Bye.